Now I want to talk about some things I have issues with Car Dealer Sim. As much as I love it and how addicting it is to me, there are some issues with it that I just want to discuss. I think the biggest thing about it is that you can't fail in this game. Like, there's almost no way to lose money. In my 5 hours of playtime with this game, I don't think I've ever lost money, and there's only been one time I came really close, and I made a couple $100s off the vehicle that I sold. So I broke even basically, but I don't think I've ever lost money. So you do all these things to fix up the car, to wash it, to make it look nice, and it's pretty much for nothing in a way because you're always going to make money. Another game I love comparing it to is like Storage Hunter, because Storage Hunter Sim added this hard mode that got me hooked, because when you make deals on auctions in that game, you can lose money at any time. You can overcommit too much cash to a object. So I think Car Dealer Sim would be so much more exciting if there was some sort of hard mode, a more difficult mode, where you can lose money on cars. Like, there is a risk of bankruptcy. So when there's that risk of potentially losing money, making money is so much more exciting. So when you're buying these used cars and trying to fix them up, you never know how much money you need to sink into them, because you may gain money or lose money depending on how much you repair it. I think a big improvement on this game would just simply be making it harder or adding a difficulty slider for people that want that excitement of potentially losing money and going bankrupt in this game, because I'm one of those people that would like to have a little bit of a risk in this game. I know the devs are pursuing a little bit more of a casual experience, but adding a hard mode just adds some freshness, adds some risk to being a used car dealer, and actually having to go through all these processes to maximize profit. Another issue I would say is like the gameplay progression seems a little bit slow and capped at some point. I think the biggest issue with progression is it feels a little bit slow, or there isn't enough there, because you get those upgrade tools pretty quickly with the early levels, but beyond that, each level up doesn't seem that substantial. You don't really get too much out of it. Once you get those upgrade tools initially after you hit level 2 and 3, it doesn't feel like there's really too much else to do when you're leveling up, because yes, you can get employees later on, but between what you get with your upgrade tools and getting that first employee, there isn't really too much to gain from leveling up. In other simulators, you typically unlock things progressively, getting small gains each time, and in this, it doesn't feel like you get that many progression milestones. It's something I think this game would benefit if you had some kind of small side shop where you can sell some items like air fresheners and stuff, just so you had a little bit of variety, so you can have your main used car dealership, but also have some kind of side business going on, so each level unlocks some inventory for that side shop or something. Overall, the main point is that going from one level to another after you get those initial upgraded tools doesn't feel like that big of a jump, or that much is introduced between the level ups, because you have to go from level 3 to level 7, where 7 has some big upgrades, but between those two levels, there's really not too much happening. I think another issue with the game is that it's not too balanced in some areas, because the most value you get is from washing, polishing, and fixing up the rust on the car visually, so you make it look nice. But with the engine and everything else, if you replace any parts, it doesn't really add too much value. So you're kind of motivated to avoid a whole section of the game of repairing the car itself, just focusing on the visual aspect, which kind of makes sense as a used car dealer, but it kind of takes out a whole game mechanic of fixing up the car. Overall, I think that's just a balancing issue that will be fixed eventually. The two big things is the progression system needs to be fleshed out a little bit better, have a little bit more things you gain per level up, so it adds to the excitement, so you feel like there's more progression happening with each level up. And also, I think they should have a difficulty slider for people that want a little bit more risk, a little bit more excitement when you're making these deals, because a little bit of risk in a game kind of makes it more satisfying when you do profit. At the end of the day, that's just my opinion. Thanks for watching, consider subbing, and catch me on a live stream sometime.